Have you ever hurt yourself during a workout, maybe just doing sports or just maybe lifting something? And then you wonder, oh, what should I do now? 'Cause it really hurts and stopping me from doing XYZ. So today, I really want to talk about the three biggest mistakes that people make after an injury as such, and why following these mistakes or doing these mistakes can make things worse. So, welcome to the Wellness Shift podcast, where we talk to our clients, therapists, and service providers about anything health related to try and bring as much value to your day to day life. Hi, I'm Bruno de Jongh, physiotherapist and founder of CBR Clinics, a physiotherapy and wellness business based in London. And we are really passionate about helping our communities to stay active and pain free, no matter their age or starting point, by uplifting their physical and mental well being through expert physiotherapy, movement, and mindset support. This episode is sponsored by Mousetrapper, one of the lead ergonomic mouse companies in Europe. Most of us spend hours at a computer, often in static positions our bodies aren't built for. That's why so many people feel pain in the neck, shoulders, and arms, often caused by one simple thing: reaching out to the side for a traditional mouse. Mousetrapper solves this by placing the mouse centrally in front of the keyboard. This keeps your arms close, your shoulders aligned, and your posture neutral, reducing the muscle strain that leads to repetitive injuries. Instead of moving a mouse across the desk, you control everything with the mesh-like control pad or smooth carbon fiber roller bar. Both allow precise, low-effort movement using small, relaxed motions, which is exactly what good ergonomics encourages. They design and manufacture Mousetrapper in Sweden with a focus on long product life and sustainability. Durable products mean less waste and fewer replacements over time. If you never tried a center mouse before, the difference is immediate. That's why they offer a free 14-day trial so you can feel the improvement for yourself. Fight the pain, support healthy posture, experience Mousetrapper. Okay, so let's jump right into it. The three worst mistakes you can do after injuring yourself. So the mistake number one is continuing to exercise the injured part. So imagine you've been going to the gym or you're doing some sports, playing football, and you pull the muscle, or you've been doing some lifts, whatever it is, and it's just hurting that body part now. The worst thing you can do is probably just push through it. And this will happen often. People come into clinic and they said, I was doing squats and I feel my back ping. I felt my back ping, but I just continued. That's probably not the best thing to do. Or sometimes they will say, I've had my back squatting and I rested for a couple of days and I can still feel it. I could still feel it, but I went and did it more anyway. So this is not the right thing to do. So why is this harmful? By continuing to exercise on an injured part, you are delaying the healing. You're probably increasing the inflammation, because if it's already injured and you go and you just keep pushing those muscle fibers, possibly they're ruptured somewhat, and that's why it feels sore, or maybe you're just really cramping. And so there's an inflammation going on there. So sometimes the worst thing is to just continue to work out those fibers that are already broken. That can lead to a much more serious injury that might take, rather than a few days or weeks, months to recover. All the muscle tissues, they need time to repair. So sometimes exercising the same body part too soon can make the tear worse, or it can just worse the biomechanics, because pretend that your leg muscle or your thigh muscle in the front, your quads, has ruptured. And then it's a little bit sore, you can feel it here and there, but you just want to go and do squats again. What your brain is going to try and do is going to just try and push through it, even if you have a little bit of pain, but it won't use the quads much because it's injured. So it's going to try to protect that part by deactivating some of the muscle fibers, but you're going to have to make up for it. So the brain is going to use maybe more glutes or more hamstring strength to push through the movement. So it might lead to an overload on the muscles on the same side of the body that is injured, or on the contralateral side. So it could potentially worsen biomechanics. What you want to do instead, if you injured this body part, a body part, is continue to work out, but avoid that body part. So if you injured your leg, you're probably going to have to avoid all leg exercises. Just do arms. Continue to do your stuff because we don't want to completely stop. And this leads me to the second point. The second worst thing you can do after an injury is to completely stop exercising altogether. So I used to have a client a long time ago. He hasn't been for a long time, which means I've done a very good job with him. But he came for a long time because it took a long time for him to understand that when he injured his back, he shouldn't just become a couch potato and it's like, okay, I can't move because my back hurts. That's not the right thing to do. You have to keep moving and you have to continue to exercise because inactivity can lead to stiffness, can lead to loss of muscle strength, poor circulation, and all that is going to slow your recovery. So by continuing to exercise somewhat, you're going to keep the blood flowing, which means you're going to continue replenish the blood supply in that area. And with blood comes nutrients, and that's what the body needs to repair itself. It needs nutrients, it needs platelets, it needs whatever it needs. The blood has it. So you want to keep moving. If you don't move it, it's going to lead to poor circulation. So you gotta continue moving. Even if it's just light walking, maybe some light stretching, or just some mobility exercises. The key is to be smart about this. So if you injured your lower back, usually lower back, what will happen is people lifted something wrong, or it might be that they were doing their deadlifts or whatever it was. With lower back squats, you gotta do some control movement on your lower back. That's probably the one body part I would say you can continue to exercise, but not to the level you were doing it. So you won't go back to what I'm not saying go back and still do the deadlift and just push through it. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to do some exercises that will incentivize better movement of your lower back rather than doing things that are very risky like leg press or squats or deadlifts. But doing things like bridges or just lying on your belly and doing some back extensions, quite low range. So low range exercises and just body weight. It's fine doing, especially for the lower back in this case. If you have hurt your ankle, for instance, you want to still try to move that ankle unless you broke it. If you broke it, you have to go on a cast and you can't weight bear for 8 weeks. If you injured your ligaments, then it's okay to still walk on it carefully unless it's really, really injured and you might need to go on a boot. Yeah, you might need to go on a boot if it's ligaments, but you're still going to be weight bearing. There's still going to be some movement and some pressure going through it. So it's fine to do that kind of stuff. And you actually need to be doing things like this so that your body can recover. So remember, if you hurt yourself, don't completely stop exercising. Do something that doesn't hurt. Do exercises that are more controlled. Do exercises that are very low range. If you're going to be doing that body parts because you want to try and help it, say lower back, do lower range movements. And lower back squat, I find it so easy in my head because most people will get hurt bending forwards. So do the opposite. Do going exercises where you're arching your back. So like I said, bridges or back extensions, that kind of stuff will help. So doing the opposite movement can help. You still stretching the area and just putting some light load on it. Okay, the third worst thing that people can do after an injury is not looking for professional help if this is persisting. Even if it's not persisting, it's probably wise to ask someone, especially if this is causing you a lot of pain or is restricting you from doing day-to-day activities. So what will happen often is people will pull their neck. Let's use the neck as an example. They'll pull the neck working, or they woke up and then you just went like this thing, or in the shower, it can happen. And then they might try and push through it, and they might try and exercise a little bit, or they might completely stop exercising, but they won't ask anyone. They might try GPT, I pull my neck, what do I do? They won't ask for actual professional help. They won't go see anyone. And then maybe it gets better over the next few days. And then what happens again is 2 months later, it will happen again. And then they think, well, last time I just rested, it got better, so I'm just going to do it again. And then they do that again. And then they have the same results. So for 2 or 3 days, I have pain, then it slowly goes away. Great. That that pattern repeats itself sometimes for months and months and months, sometimes for years and years and years. And then it happens when they completely lock themselves. The neck, let's keep talking about the neck. It happens again, and this time they get so stiff, in so much pain, they can't do anything. And then they go look for help. And sometimes when it gets to that point, it's already becoming something much bigger than it was. If they had looked for help in the first instance, there would have been, hopefully, some biomechanical assessments done, there will be hopefully the therapist would have been able to identify where are the imbalances in the body, what this person needs to be doing exercise-wise in order to prevent this from coming back. And if they've done that in the beginning, they'll have a few sessions, and then they might want to have a maintenance here and there, but it's resolved. Now let's talk about the second case, the person who maybe waited a few years for finally have a look at it. So when they go and see the physio after, let's say, 3 years of having this pain that is on and off, then the problem's a lot more chronic. The imbalance on the muscles is a lot more chronic. It's quite set already. It won't be that difficult to reverse it, but it will take longer to reverse it. And also that the pain episodes are going to be a lot more intense, and especially with neck and lower back, or it could be with the other body parts as well. But with neck and lower back, what you normally see then is people having some disc issues. So on the vertebral spine, you've got the discs in between the vertebrae. Those start bulging a little bit, touching nerve or whatever happens. That can lead to poor muscle engagement, muscles that are not 100% strong. You just don't want to go there. So this kind of stuff, it can start going that direction if you don't address things really early. What can happen in other body parts, if people ignore it for years and years and years, is joint degeneration, so some form of arthritis. It could lead to some tendons as well tearing, because I see a lot of this with shoulder, or I have seen a lot of this with shoulders. It's just a shoulder, the pinch that people get from doing overhead press. And, they get it every couple of months, but they never pay too much attention to it. They put a little bit of ice, take some ibuprofen. It gets better after a few days. Then they maybe ease off on the exercise. They start doing other exercise. And then they go back to some shoulder press, it starts pinging again. And then they follow the same cycle. After years and years and years of this, the tendon might start degenerating. And depending how much people push, the tendon might start tearing. So it just becomes a much bigger problem than it could have been in the beginning. So this is probably one of the worst things people can do as well, is simply not looking for professional help. So I'm just going to recap the 3 worst things you can do after an injury. 1, continuing to exercise the injured part. Just allow it to heal. Keep exercising the rest. Maybe just avoid that bit, or adapt how you do things. Number 2, completely stopping exercise. You don't want to simply stop whatever it is that you're doing, because it will lead to muscle loss, poor circulation, And that will slow down your recovery overall. So you want to keep moving. And number three, not looking for professional help. If things keep recurring after every few months, and then that becomes every few years, and suddenly for years you've had this, by the time you look for help, it's not too late, but you might be dealing with the problem a lot bigger than it would have been otherwise. I hope this was helpful and insightful somewhat. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them on the comments down below. There's links on the description as well on how to reach out if you have more questions. We would love to hear from you, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.